Great. Okay. All right. Welcome, everyone. I can see 23 of us and a couple of note takers here. My name is Oishik, and I lead the incubator, which is called Evolve. I'll speak a little bit about what Evolve is and what we do at Evolve today, and answer any questions that you have. Um, Feel free to use the chat before we start. Sukriti is also here from my team, and Sukriti will also be answering some of the question. I'm sure you got some of the WhatsApp message from Sukriti as well as a reminder. So thanks for joining today. So today is the first webinar that we are doing for Evolve. It's a Ask Us Anything webinar where we try to answer some of your questions that you right. Request you in
Tutti
when
kaya
you
kahit ako, no?
request you whenever you are listening, please put yourself on mute. And whenever only you're talking, you can feel free to sort of unmute yourself and ask us any questions that you have. Okay. So moving on, I think just to get to know each other a little bit, I'll just want to get a sense of where we are from, right? So I would request you to put your name, your current city, and your favorite volunteering organization, right? For example, I've written my name is Oishik. I'm from Kolkata, and my favorite volunteering organization, for example, is Gunj. So just to get to know each other a little bit, I would request everyone to just come on chat and then write the name, the city or the region that you represent, and then the uh, one favorite volunteering organization that you have. Um, Thanks, Rahul. Thanks, Mansoor. Thanks, Tanmay. Thanks, Harihar. Thanks, Shikha. Thanks, Naresh. Awesome. A lot of new names. Some of them I'm familiar with, a few of them I'm not too familiar with, but good to see some of these new names. Would request the others to also put the name, the location, and any organization that is your favorite which does volunteering. Right? Thanks, Paro. Thanks, Alex. Nice. Thanks, Alok Madhumita. Great. Couple of folks from Kerala, Kolkata, Bangalore, Kerala again, Delhi. Nice to see every people from everyone. And Ronald is from UK as well. Isha Foundation, great. Cochin, awesome. Okay. Um, Great. I mean, as I speak, if you haven't already, you can also put your name. My name is Oishik again, and Gunj is one of the organization that I really look up to as a volunteering organization. I'll go into the next slide, which is the agenda for today. I'll be talking about these things today, and then we'll pause for any questions that you have. We'll talk about the trust, India Welfare Trust, which is the trust that's supporting the incubator, which is Evolve. I'll talk about why we do what we do and why is volunteering um, uh, close to us. We'll talk about what Evolve is. That's, I think, most of the major reason why most of us are here today. So I'll talk about what Evolve looks like, what is the kind of process that we follow, what are the timelines going to be like, what the incubation period entails, and then we'll go into the selection procedure, the dates for it, the stages, and anything else that you want answered. Right. So this is the agenda for today. We'll try to wrap up by 6. It's a 1 hour long call. And then we can again touch base in WhatsApp or email. Right. So, India Welfare Trust, a little about the trust and the work that we do. Um, we are very passionate about volunteering, right? And a lot of Evolve is one of our one of the projects that we support. Apart from that, we Sukriti, help me with putting people on mute, please. Um, yeah, so Evolve is one of the projects that we do at India Welfare Trust, where we sort of support early stage entrepreneurs, early stage organizations, and early stage ideas who are trying to build solutions in the volunteering space. Apart from that, we also work in building an ecosystem, right? Some of the names that you also shared in the chat, like a Bhumi, like the Gunj, are also our ecosystem partners, like a Make a Difference. You must have seen the website for Evolve as well. A lot of these names and partners are also who we work with. So we are working with different corporates, not for profits, civic networks, intermediaries, and even informal groups um, to help them build the volunteering ecosystem and overall build the volunteering ecosystem. Another thing that we do is help organizations think through how to figure out recruitment of volunteers, right? Um, Evolve is again targeted towards the smaller organizations and the ideas which are willing to scale. But there are a lot other organizations also which are, let's say, 10 to 15 years down the line and starting to sort of engage volunteers. And we help them with recruitment by placing volunteer managers, by placing different by supporting them in different ways, right? We design and test pilot as well with different organizations. Again, majorly the larger ones, where we conduct certain research, certain learning experiences, test some pilots that we feel that might work or might not work. And all these efforts are towards engaging volunteers and scaling volunteering, right? We also do events. Volcon is one of the examples of such an event. You can Google it. It's happening in Bangalore, where it's a volunteering conference, which is in partnership with Bhumi and I Volunteer. They're bringing together all these different volunteering supporters, be it corporates, be it larger NGOs, be it even smaller NGOs, and bringing them together under one roof. So we convene interactions and curate learning opportunities as well. And wherever relevant, we also provide funding as a trust. So that's a little bit about what we do at India Welfare Trust. Our vision is to see every Indian to volunteer 1 hour a week, right? And so that's why we are targeting the problem or the volunteering space from different levels, because only supporting young entrepreneurs is not going to solve this, right? Just coming to Evolve, this is one of the support that one of the organizations or one of the incubators that efforts, if I may, efforts that India Welfare Trust does. And these are the five main components, and I'll talk more about it. What Evolve looks like, right? So Evolve is a startup and idea incubator. So it's very important to note that we just are not working with startups. So we are also working with folks who are just coming up with ideas, because during the selection process, we also help you pilot, right? So we call it the POC, the pre-POC, which is proof of concept, where we get you to go through a certain experience where we see if the idea is making sense or not. Are you being able to actually engage? And how resourceful are you as a future entrepreneur? Right? So we are a startup plus an idea incubator. We are sector agnostic. That means that we are not really just focused on one specific sector. We are working in, I'll show a few names and of the entrepreneurs that we already supported and are supporting. We are working in the education space, environment, animal welfare, disability, health, gender issues, etc., etc. Right? Um, the aim is for us to engage volunteering organizations at scale. This is again very important to note. There's no harm in engaging volunteers, for example, in a school, 150 volunteers year on year, but we are looking for solutions primarily focused on scaling, right? We are not just looking for solutions who are not focused on scaling. So that's very important to know. And through the interaction that we have had, you will see us talking about scale a lot, right? Um, so here are just a few examples. It doesn't matter if it's in-person volunteering or virtual volunteering. We are okay if volunteers teach, spread awareness, participate in campaigns, run organization operations, etc. We just want volunteers to do something meaningful, right? Another question I often get is, are just NGOs eligible, but it's not necessarily the case. We also support social enterprises. If you are a for-profit social enterprise and you are engaging volunteers, that's also something that we look at, right? So these are some of the names of the volunteering organization that we have supported so far. So this is the cohort 3 that we are looking for. So far, we have supported around 14 odd volunteers, right? So 14 odd entrepreneurs, right? So it's a mix, right? If you can see here, you can get these names on the website as well. So Kriti, if you can just put the website link as well here. You can take a look at it when you in your own time, but you can see organizations who are working in youth empowerment, leadership, education, early childhood education, people with disability, organizations who are doing medical clowning, mentorship, upcycling, recycling, um, organizations who are working in law, welfare, livelihoods, mental health, skill volunteering, etc. So all these organizations that you see on the screen are delivering their core solution, which is through volunteering, right? Um, and yeah, I mean, I'm here looking for the third cohort of entrepreneur right now, where we are seeing if we can also expand the sectors to other solutions, right? Animal welfare, for example, is something that we are trying to also prioritize, and the other sectors that we have not yet tapped into. Right. I'll pause for questions in a bit. I just want to run through first and then I'll pause for questions. I'm sure some of you might have questions already. And if you can't control it, you can just put it on chat and share the question. I'll get back to it after my sharing is done. Right. So these are some of the 14 entrepreneurs that we have supported through Evolve, and there are larger organizations that we do support through India Welfare Trust as well. Right. Um, this is a little bit about what uh, the timeline look like this year for Evolve. Um, we are updating it currently on the website. So in case you have already looked at the website, you may see the dates a little older dates. It's not yet published, but by this weekend we will be able to publish the revised dates. Um, but these are the names. These are the timeline which we will follow this year. So this is the first Ask Us Anything webinar that you see. The stage one application, we'll have another Ask Us Anything webinar after the stage one applications open as well. And we are in touch with a lot of the applicants on WhatsApp. So we'll also get in touch with you if you're interested to apply. Stage one application form will open on 4th. We'll close after 20 days, which is on 24th Feb. We'll also do a Q&A after the stage one application just to run through what the stage one application means, what does it look like, etc. We'll have a couple of learning sessions in between after the stage one application is over. Once you clear that, we go into the stage two application form, which is going to be a pre-POC, as we are calling. Pre-POC meaning the pre-pilot, right? A pilot where we want entrepreneurs to engage volunteers for a 7 days period. Because we are also an idea incubator, we want you to pilot it and see if it's working or not. We also want to see if we are able to, you are being able to be resourceful. Again, in the pre-pilot, it doesn't need to be the final solution that you're pitching. It can be a section or a version of the solution that you're doing. So that's the pre-pilot, where we also will give you a small stipend for you to cover expenses if that you incur any expenses. We move on to the 7 day PPOC. After that, we'll have a round of interview with the Evolve team, and then we'll announce the POC cohort. From the pre-POC, which is the pre-pilot, we'll move into the pilot, which is a 1 month tenure. For this also, we give out a stipend, which is for you to use and prove that if you are able to actually engage in that in the solution a little deeper. That's why it's not just 7 days; it's 30 days now, right? Post which we go into a boot camp. It might be in person or it might be virtual, and then after the bootcamp, we have the POC pitch, where you pitch what the POC is going to look like, and then you execute the POC for 1 month, right? So from 30th May to 28th June is when so 29 odd days, you execute the POC. Post this, we move into the POC review, pitch, and conversation. This is the final stage of the interview. And then we announce the cohort, which is on 13th of July. Cohort 3 then goes through the base camp, which is generally the first boot camp that we do, which is going to be in Bangalore. Maybe in Delhi, but most likely in Bangalore. And then the incubation period starts from 31st July, and then we end the support um, on the next year of first 1st July. So which is around 1 year, right? 335 days. Um, yeah. So this is what I have. I don't have any more to share. I'll pause here for any questions that you have. I can go back to the slides if you want me to. I'll maybe not stop sharing screen. I'll keep it open, but please feel free to add any questions or any just unmute yourself and share any questions that you have. We are happy to answer them.
Hi, Oshik.
Yes, I.
Yeah, Oshik, I just have a doubt regarding where did I find it? Like the 20 and 30-day pilot.
Yeah.
So if you already have run some sort of like pilot project, say a proof of concept sort of thing, still should we go through the same, or we can maybe extend the same to 30 more days?
Um, you can, but again, we would like you to like to see if the pilot that you're designing is aligning with the larger solution that you're trying to, the actual solution that you're trying to create. Uh, it's useful if you have already run the pilot and you have data from it. But again, we would recommend either extending it or running it again,
Okay.
or tweaking parts of it and seeing if it's really aligned to the aligned to the final solution that you're creating as well. So I don't have a particular answer to it, but I would recommend that you, even during these 30 days, you pilot a version of it, even if you have done it already, so that we are able to see the alignment with the final solution. Does that answer?
Okay. Yes, yes, perfect. Thank you.
Yeah.
So, hi Ashik, Sultan here. So,
Nice.
just wanted to understand what would be the scale for pre-pilot and the pilot. So, is there any idea to have a like in terms of numbers of the peoples we wanted to do this pilot?
Great question, Sultan. Thank you for your question. So, for the pilot, we are a little, so it depends on the solution, to be honest. If I have to talk about the scale, again, it's proportional to the projection that you do. Doesn't, so we look at hours as a major unit, the volunteering hours and the volunteering numbers as the main unit of even monitoring you throughout the incubation period. So we will help you go through that process of how to project, how to come up with numbers, how to sort of envision what is the kind of numbers that you're looking for. And from there, we proportionally reduce and see what seems like a doable number for the first 30 days. And then from there, we see from the first 7 days. I don't have a straight answer to this because solutions are very different. For example, if you are doing awareness campaigns, the numbers will generally be higher because these are low touch, right? So you just share information with people. Whereas if you are doing something which is more hands-on, right? So for example, solving cases for community members, right? Through, let's say, welfare schemes or something like that, that the number of volunteers might reduce there, but the depth of engagement will increase there, right? So there is no right answer to this, but it really depends on the kind of solution that you're creating. Generally, awareness campaigns, the number boost up a little more where these are thinner engagement or low touch engagements. With higher touch engagement or thicker engagement, the number of amount of time that you're intervening with the stakeholder, the beneficiary, that increases while the number of volunteer might increase. To give you a sense, all these entrepreneurs that you see uh, on this uh, slide, right? All these have engaged an average of 60 to 70,000 hours of volunteering. Maybe except Pooja and Sheetal because they were not really funded by us but supported. All these have projected, and the cohort 2 is ongoing to engage 60 to 70,000 hours of volunteering on an average in a year's time. Right. And again, obviously, that's not going to be the first month itself. The curve is going to be a little steep. So you keep building on it and then you grow. But yeah, that's my answer. But I don't have a one answer to your question, Sultan.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Hi, am I audible?
Yes.
I have two
Very good.
questions.
Go ahead.
See, in this project, whatever enterprise or like organization we're registering for this program, do we have to be running it full time? Only then are we eligible for it, or it could be a side project?
Yeah.
And second question was, okay,
Go ahead.
my second question was, I'm guessing a lot of cohorts would have similar ideas which come up every year, right? So would that also be a metric of selection that if a similar idea has been proposed in a previous cohort, does that reduce, like, does that become a factor in our selection?
Right. That's a good question. So I answer the first question first. During the pre-POC and the POC, if you are a student and if you're not already an entrepreneur, you can not be full-time. But if you are selected and once you're joining the cohort, you have to be doing this full-time. So that's something that's a non-negotiable. We are only looking for entrepreneurs who are doing this full-time. Everyone on the screen right now is doing this full-time as an entrepreneur. However, if you are a student and you're just passing out or in between jobs, transitioning from something to the other, and if the POC period is something where is your notice period or the last month of your college, that's fine. We also try to plan in a way so that by the time your POC period is over, you are out of college. That's what it sort of reflects on the timelines as well. But to answer your question, yes, we are only looking for full-time entrepreneurs. If you're doing this as a side project, this is not for you. That's number one. Number two, your question around the nature of solutions. No, it does. It's not necessarily the case. We only, you are only competing against yourself. That's what we say. For example, in this slide again, in cohort one, Vivek was doing a mentorship project. In cohort two, Shoaib was doing a mentorship project. So that doesn't matter if you're doing something similar to existing solutions. We believe that there is enough volunteers, enough people in the country to be able to engage and volunteer. So you are only competing against yourself and not really competing against anyone else. So it depends really on the quality of the solution and not some solution that has already been implemented or something like that.
Okay, thank you so much. That was clear.
Thank you.
Abhishek Rao this side.
Hi, Rahul.
Hi. I just want to ask one thing that in continuation to the verb question, that if, for example, if I am doing it full time, I'm working on the cause full time, but rest of the team members are all volunteers because of a lot of funding issue and everyone is a volunteer, no one else is full time. So still are we eligible to apply for this program?
Absolutely. The founder needs to be volunteer. So for example, if you see organizations like Robin Hood Army, if you have heard about them,
Yes.
they run, they have zero employees and they also call themselves zero funded volunteering organization. So even if you're trying to build an organizations like that, you're totally welcome. However, you have to be doing this full time so that you
Yeah.
spend, the whole amount of your time and effort towards that, towards the work that you're doing. Yeah.
Okay. So the founder needs to be full time. Rest everyone can also be entire volunteers. That's
But you
totally
will be
fine.
given funding if you're selected. So the funding for you is to use not just for program, but also for you to use for your stuffing,
Exactly.
the
Correct.
use for your expenses, operational expenses as well. So if you are through to the cohort, I mean, the kind of scale that we're looking for, you won't be able to achieve if you don't staff well enough.
Exactly. Yeah.
And if you are able to and prove us wrong, why not? But you need to be, I mean, so far all the organizations that we have supported have had their own teams who are doing this.
Got it.
Yeah, and it's a mix of volunteers and full-time folks as well. But the incubated person has to be full-time.
Got it.
Hi, Ashik. Ronald here. Can you give some examples like of volunteering when it comes to kind of the last two cohorts, especially when it comes to waste related
Okay.
waste management, waste,
So Renu, if you see on the screen, for example, is doing you can check these solutions out. You can just Google it also. Like there are a lot of solutions, even outside the country, which are being done by volunteers. But if I have to speak about the evolve cohorts, cohort 2, Renu is doing upcycling and recycling. She runs this organization called India Recycles, based in Ahmedabad. And they collect waste and upcycle waste through volunteers, and they sell these secondhand items even in the slums after upcycling it. And they generate revenue through it and stuff. But yeah, I mean, n number of solutions around which you can look up.
Great, thank you.
Hi, Siki. This is Sojal from West Bengal, Kolkata.
Yes.
We are a non-profit organization, and we are finding or searching or looking for the different types of volunteers for our different multiple project or enterprise that we are running. But it's very challenging for us to running it in a full manner. So, how we can get help from your platforms from the Evolve?
You have to apply schedule. You can't just, I mean,
Okay.
we don't support like that. I mean, and then this is not for this platform is not for you. We are looking for
Yeah, that's it.
entrepreneurs who are either looking to start an organization in volunteering or already have an organization 0 to 7 odd years, 0 to 5, 0 to 6 years, where they are
Okay.
trying to build their volunteering arm. And the
Okay.
process that you will also have to follow is through the stages that I showed. You will have to start with stage 1, then go to pre-pilot, then pilot, then
Okay.
POC, pre-POC, POC, and then move from there.
Achha. But as far as your website that saw that different other activities and help you do for the organizations. So can I go for that?
Sorry,
That
can you repeat that?
that I saw your that can I asking that help for for our organization to your platform apart from the volunteerings. So that I have saw on your website. So can I go for that? That is for the help for empowering the grassroots organization and empowering the
Try to
our
us separately.
non-profit activities.
Separately, we'll see what we can do. But if you are, this is specifically for Evolve, and if you have any questions related to Evolve, you can ask me.
Got it.
If not,
Got
you
it.
can ask me separately. We'll see what you can do.
Sure. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, Oshik ji. I am Naresh. So I just have a question that if the project is already going on and we pitch for the engagement of the volunteers in the involve, is it okay to go ahead with?
So Naresh, you're asking if the project is already ongoing and then?
Yes. Then we want to engage volunteers in the same.
Sure, yeah, that's fine. That's totally fine. But again,
The new concept. We want to. We also want to pilot. It's like project is already going, but we want to pilot that key. Let's see how volunteers engaging with the current system, how it works or not.
absolutely. Yeah, that's fine. I mean, you have to pilot if you want to apply. So that's a non-negotiable. But if you have an existing project, as I said, and you are trying to build a volunteering arm, that is welcome. But again, you have to go through the piloting experience. So that will also teach you if it's working or not, what changes that you need to make, and then go
Yes.
through that experience. Yeah.
Also, second question is the organization is registered in 8 years ago.
Should
I
be
don't
okay.
know. It can be.
Should be fine. Should be fine. I mean, if needed, you can also always register a separate entity. But should be fine knowing the stage, because I know you personally, the stage that you were at, I think should be okay. You can apply.
Okay.
Ashik, I have one more question. So, say from an idea stage that might be selected or maybe could be more that is scalable for volunteering, etc. Can you briefly tell me in terms of the stages that not, I mean, I understand the stages which you have put on the presentation, but a general, a bit more depth on it, if possible, in terms of from an idea stage to something, that has to be an NGO or, and then build a team and then maybe build volunteers, etc. You shed some light on that if possible.
So, shed some light on what the stages entail. Is that your question?
Yeah, especially if it's from an idea stage.
So we almost always assume that it's starting from an idea stage, even if it's an organization which someone was asking, right? Like even if we have something that we have already piloted, do we need to pilot again? So we almost always assume that it's an idea. So as I mentioned, you have to start with the stage one application, which is the stage one application, which is where you have to fill details about your who you are, what's your background, what's your education, if you have a co-founder, all those details, a little bit about the idea that you're thinking about, and then we take it from there. So once you and a few questions around scale, you will also have to answer, and the kind of vision that you have. So a lot of cerebral stuff, right? What you're thinking in your head is something that we'll take at the stage one application from, followed by the about you section, where we try to see if you guys, whoever the entrepreneur is, they have certain relevant experience or not. From there, we go into the stage two. If you're selected to stage two, this is where we look at the pre-POC, which is the pilot that you do, the 7-day pilot. So what is the idea that you're pitching? Then we also make you do this 3 to 5 year projection in terms of numbers. We have all templates for all of this, right? So we make you go through this experience where you sort of write down what are the numbers that you're thinking of in terms of volunteers, month on month, year on year, quarter on quarter, and then you pitch that. Pre-POC, as you can see, is the 7 days experience where you engage volunteers for 7 days. These goals are again not set by us, it's set by you and only verified by Evolve, right? So once you go through this 7 days experience, you submit those numbers to us and submit those details to us, and then we go through. If you're selected, you go through the G-Meet interview round. From there, we announce the semi-final sort of cohort, which is the POC cohort, right? Which is the team of people. We generally have, we expect around 20 to 30 folks who go into this stage. So 20 odd folks who are implementing this for themselves, where they engage for 30 days, these volunteers. And then again, we go into the pre-POC bootcamp. After you're selected in this round is when you go into the bootcamp. Sorry, my bad. After you submit these details, and the bootcamp happens, because there is a lot of learning, right? Here we want to sort of teach you how the other bigger organizations are performing. A lot of things that we would share is very new, and and we have faced this last year as well, right? So things like how to recruit, how to source volunteers, how to induct them, how to make meaning in the volunteers' lives. What are some process that you can set? So this bootcamp entails all of that. Then you go into the execution of the POC, which is 30 days. Then we review the data that you submit to us, and then we go into the cohort. So this is the kind of flow that we have, that we follow.
TK. Or and also, so once selected for the cohort, can you give a brief in terms of what happens during that 1 year as well?
Right. So this is what happens. I'll just scroll back 1 second. So this is what happens during the this is what happens during the 12 months of support that we do give, right? One is the funding, obviously, that's the funding that goes out. Again, this is basis the performance that you have. So this is not like we'll be giving you the funding on the day one and saying that Karlo, whatever you have to do. It's based on performance. So generally it's given out in a quarterly manner. And we have monthly reviews of that. We have weekly checkpoints where we work closely with the entrepreneurs very rigorously to be able to see if they are being able to make progress or not. So that's the one-on-one support as well. Eventually, we start with weekly and monthly, then we can move into bi-weekly based on your performance. We do these boot camps and sessions monthly. We have these monthly cohort calls as well, where we bring together all the entrepreneurs together to share learnings with each other. Some expert sessions as well, where people who have done this well on specific topics, they come together. We have these boot camps as well. We have mentorship. We have trainings, etc. So that's how broadly the 12 months look like. It's a mix of weekly, monthly, and quarterly touch points, I would say.
Great. Sounds good.
Awesome. Thank you. Anyone else? Okay, Alex is a question. Okay. Sure. I'll just go to that screen. The trajectory in terms of like the growth of the entrepreneurs, that's what you're saying, or what trajectory are you talking about, Alex?
Hi, sorry, Ashik. There's some background noise here, but yes, if you could touch upon, I think growth as an individual also, but more around how their organizations have gone on to progress post the incubation. That'll
Right.
be
So
helpful. Yeah.
one thing we could have done, and we'll probably do this for the next webinar, is get some of these entrepreneurs directly to talk to you guys. And it feels weird to be reporting that myself instead of them speaking about it. But I would say that um, almost 100% of the organization who have been incubated formally have reached the kind of scale that they have never thought about, and they have been all of these entrepreneurs that you see on the screen are 100% functional and are thriving, right? So because our scale is such a focus, the kind of scale that we work with them on, to think about, they have been able to achieve a lot more than that they ever expected of the solution that they were creating. I can take examples of each and talk about it, but you can look them up on the website. You can go to their websites and see what they are up to. In fact, if you are interested, I would recommend that you maybe get in touch with some of them as well, and see if this is a good fit for you, right? This incubator is not designed for everyone. Again, I'm just putting it out there. We are only looking for people who are scale ready and are willing to scale, right? So that's something that you should get in touch with them. But in terms of trajectory, I would say most of them are even now raising funds for themselves, scaling very well, consistently, and have been able to do a lot through the incubation that we have provided for them. But yeah, best to get in touch with some of them in case you want to talk to them.
Great. Thanks. Thank you so much.
Any other questions? Cool. Okay. Awesome. I think most of the questions are answered. One quick request. There are 20 plus. Sorry, Ronald, do you have any other question? I saw you unmuted.
Yeah, I just thought I'll just ask one question. So, I mean, this is definitely, something very different when it comes to an incubator that is more focused on volunteering. But comparatively to maybe certain other NGO incubators that are out there, how is it different? I understand apart from the volunteering aspect.
Who do you want me to compare it to? Every incubator.
Generally, I mean, this is new for me as well. So, as per research, like just generally, like NSR Cell, they have an NGO incubator, they have Nudge, they have a few other people, and so I'm just trying to understand. I mean, don't know. I've not done much research on it, but just as a general Google search kind of a
Just
thing.
look it up, Ronald. Every incubator we run different other incubators as well, but every incubator generally has its own thesis. For Evolve, the thesis is volunteering, and we are open to for-profit and not-for-profit. Difference in terms of differences, I mean, the key difference is that we are looking for scale, and not any organization who is running volunteering solutions. Our theme, we are not agnostic in terms of the way the solution is being implemented. So that's volunteering for us, but agnostic in terms of the sector that you can work in. So we are actively looking for sectors which we have not supported. Right. So for example, can there be solutions in animal welfare? Can there be solutions in, let's say, more solutions in mental health? Can there be more solutions in PWD? So we are agnostic in terms of the sector, but I mean, there's no differentiator in terms of like what we do differently. Obviously, the processes might be different from what a different incubator is doing, but best to look up some other incubators and see what you're looking for.
Fair enough, Ashik. Thank you.
Yes, Alok, go ahead.
हाय औसिक, मेरे एक्चुअली दो क्यूरी थे। सो पहला कि आपने कहा कि मतलब स्केल के बारे में, तो थोड़ा सा आप क्लियर करेंगे कि वॉलंटियर ऑर्गेनाइजेशन या वॉलंटियर आइडिया के लिए स्केल कैसा दिखता है। एंड सेकंड, मैं इवॉल्व के साइट पे देख रहा था कि केवल अर्बन ऑर्गेनाइजेशन एलिजिबल है। तो वो भी थोड़ा आप क्लियर करेंगे कि मतलब उसका क्या मतलब है, रूरल ऑर्गेनाइजेशन कैसे नहीं है या सम मतलब।
Got it. So, first questions first, Alok. And don't mind I'm answering in English because it helps me answer better.
या प्लीज।
The first question is that sorry, what was the first question? The eligibility.
So actually
Scale.
eligibility also
Got it.
and
Yeah.
scale also, about scale actually.
Yeah. So scale, Alok, it means that, like, again, depends on the solution, as I was saying. So if you are a solution which is lower touch, so for example, awareness कर रहे हो आप, या तो if you are doing something which needs a less amount of time. For example, if India Recycles that I was talking about, they do sorting, right? Sorting of the clothes. This is generally a longer term, 4-5 घंटा लग जाता है. Mentorship, for example, is again going to be 90 odd minutes per week or something like that. So if you are focusing on lower touch engagement with the beneficiaries, then the number of volunteers has to increase. If you're looking for longer term beneficiaries, for example, we also supported an organization called Volunteer Yatra, right? So they would send volunteers, they call it volunteerism, where they send volunteers to different regions and locations where they ask them to volunteer for a week or so. So it's almost like a full-time work, right? So 2 weeks, someone is working for 8 hours a day, 18 to 7, around 56 hours per volunteer. For those kind of solution, we have We Do Good as well, which is also pro bono volunteering, for example. They also have engagement, which is thicker in nature, which is like आपको ज़्यादा time देना होगा, right? So that with that kind of experience, we are okay with the numbers of volunteer being lesser, but the hours being more. So, but either it has to be a mix of both. Ideal case would be number bhi zyada ho, eventually the number of hours also increase and volunteers retain. But it's a mix of both. Sometimes it can be number of hours more, lesser volunteers, number of volunteers more, lesser hours initially, and then eventually we want volunteers to retain further so that the scale becomes consistently keeps increasing. Hope that answers your question.
Yeah, it helps.
Okay, so the second question was in terms of the urban and rural, right? So one of the hypotheses that we work with is that we have a lot of these urban folks who don't volunteer as much. Our hypothesis is that people in rural India, they already have that sense of volunteering, community, um, in the day-to-day that they do. So that's why our focus is a little more on urban. However, we have been proven wrong before. For example, the organization called Rozgar Dhaba, which is run by Vinod in the cohort 2, they provide blue collar jobs to folks who are almost like first generation workers in the families, right? So they are engaging a lot of these rural folks, rural volunteers who are running these Rozgar camps. So it's a mix of both. I would say 90 to 95% of our solutions have been urban, and we are a little biased towards urban because we believe that it's easier to get volunteers, let's say from a corporate, let's say from a school, let's say from an institute. But we are happy to be proven wrong. If you are Alok, you're running a solution and you see that you are able to scale up a solution which can engage rural folks, we are happy to talk and see if that's something that we can take forward.
Thank you, Osik. So
Right.
there is no any hard line, I mean, in rural, urban, कि rural organization could not, मतलब apply नहीं कर सकते हैं.
No, not application is not the issue, but I think the type of volunteers, even that's not a hard stop, but we want to see if you are able to engage the kind of scale that we're looking for. So far, apart from Rozgar Dhaba, we have faced that any other organization have not been able to reach the kind of scale that we're looking for with the kind of solution that they are creating with rural organization. But if you can, we want to be proven wrong, and if you can do that, nothing like it.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay. Shika, I'll answer your question. We have 3 ongoing projects within our NGO. I'd like to discuss the feasibility of capacity managing these. I mean, if it's volunteering, Shika, I mean, it's best to focus in the early days, even if you have different projects to apply to evolve. You have to apply with the volunteering solution and not the other solution, because that's what we're looking for. And we generally recommend that 80 to 90% of the time of the founder or the co-founder goes into the volunteering work. Because you need to focus in the first year to be able to create a solid solution. So yeah, that's my answer. So focusing, I think, would be key. For Evolve, you have to apply with the volunteering solution. Absolutely, because we are not looking for any other programs. Cool.
Any geographical strengths of evolve in terms of where certain geographies might have a bit more advantage, where you guys can add value, but certain geographies you might not be able to. So is there something on that?
Not really. So all our entrepreneurs are spread across the country, Ronald. And we convene regularly to be able to spend time together, but we are not limited by any geography. Yeah, it's all across the country. You have to be in India. That's the only catch.
No, okay. Thank you.
Okay. Cool. So one request before we drop off, Sukriti, can you put the poll? I just want to understand if this was useful to be able to answer some of these questions. So Sukriti is putting a link on the chat. So please fill it in so that we know if it was useful or not. Thanks, Sukriti. We'll also post the register your interest form. The stage 1 application is going to open soon. If you haven't already registered, put your details on the stage 1 application form. The register your interest form, so that we know that you are interested and we can reach out to you once the form opens. I'm also pasting this link here. So if you haven't already, if you have, we have your details. But if you haven't, would recommend fill this in. Yeah. Sukriti, we can't see the question there, I think.
There are 2 polls. So I've shared the link for the first poll. I can see few people responding. Is it not visible to others?
Maybe for me. Is it visible for you guys?
Yes, it is.
Okay, great. Then it's just me.
Please make sure to respond to both polls.
Cool. Thanks, Naresh. Good luck.
Oshik, I'm just wondering if we could get a recording of this meeting because I joined late. I was already midway another meeting.
No,
So,
we'll share the recording back with everyone who was invited. We'll share this recording back with you guys.
okay, thank you so much. And I'm refraining to ask certain questions because I think I'll first see the recording and then if need there be, I'll
Absolutely.
ask.
But if you haven't already signed up, I would say register your interest so that we can reach out to you and we have your details.
So I had filled up the form on the website, which is why I received a message on WhatsApp.
Yeah, great. That's fine. We'll
Thank
share
you.
the recording with you.